All right, so you're here because you want to get up to speed quickly on stuff that matters, right?
Mhm.
Let's not waste any time and dive right in. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into Bangala.
Bangala, yeah.
Have you heard of this?
I have heard of Bangala, yes.
Okay, cool.
It's also known by its scientific name, Eriacema crassianum,
Okay,
and it's a traditional African herb with a long history.
okay. Yeah, and we've been digging into some research on this, trying to get a handle on what this is all about.
Yeah.
Our mission today is pretty simple.
Mhm.
We want to unpack this Bangala thing, look at its origin story, what it's been used for traditionally, the benefits people associate with it, and how it's used today.
All right, sounds good.
So Bangala, at its core, what are we even talking about here?
Well, like you mentioned, the scientific name is Eriacema crassianum.
Mhm.
But I think what's really interesting about this is how deep its roots are in traditional African medicine.
Yeah.
For centuries, various indigenous communities across the entire continent have used and valued this plant. And it's been particularly known for its effects on sexual wellness.
So this isn't just some new fad or trend. This has been around for a long time.
No, not at all.
Part of local knowledge, wisdom
Exactly, yeah.
passed down.
Research even highlights the Zulu tribe in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
They consider it one of the best herbs for male sexual health.
Okay, interesting.
And I think when you see that kind of long-term traditional use, it kind of signals to you that, hey, there might be something here.
Right, there's some potential benefits that are worth exploring.
Exactly.
Yeah. So sexual wellness, it seems like that's the central theme that keeps popping up.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's dig into that a little bit, like how it's been traditionally used and the benefits that are suggested.
Okay.
So historically, what did people use Bengala for, and what kind of effects are associated with it, according to the research we've looked at?
Sure. So research suggests that one of the primary traditional uses of Bengala was to enhance libido
Okay.
and sexual desire.
Mm.
And the thinking behind this is that certain compounds in the herb can actually stimulate the body's production of key sex hormones.
Oh, wow.
And research points specifically to testosterone as being really important here,
Right, testosterone, yeah.
which we know is very closely tied to things like desire and energy levels.
Yeah, yeah.
So this connection kind of makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah. Hormones are so fundamental to all those aspects.
For sure.
What about the actual performance aspect?
Oh, yeah.
So not just the desire, but the actual act itself. Does the research indicate any impact on that?
It does, yeah. Research suggests that Bengala could potentially improve sexual performance by boosting blood flow to the genital area.
Okay.
So for men, this could lead to stronger and longer-lasting erections.
Yeah.
And for women, research indicates it may heighten sensitivity,
Interesting.
all connected.
Yeah, it's all part of yeah. You can't really separate one from the other, like the desire and the physical, aspects of it.
Right.
But it's not all about sexual health, right? I was reading some stuff about other broader health benefits that are being associated with Bengala.
That's right, yeah. So when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, research suggests that Bengala has a bunch of antioxidants in it, as well as different vitamins and minerals.
Hmm.
And ethnobotanical studies even hint at some specific types of antioxidant compounds
Interesting.
that have some, pretty powerful effects,
Okay.
which I think could contribute to that overall vitality that a lot of users report.
Mm-hmm.
Because in general, those components, the antioxidants, the vitamins, and the minerals, we know those can be beneficial in supporting overall health
Mm-hmm.
and potentially boosting your energy levels, improving your immune system, just giving you a general sense of well-being.
Okay, so it's working on multiple levels, clear focus on sexual health, but it sounds like it also has these additional benefits that can contribute to overall vitality. Okay, so are there any other, more specific applications that the traditional knowledge and research highlights?
Yeah, for sure. According to research, Bengala has been traditionally used to address things like male erectile dysfunction
Okay.
and to increase and improve sexual stamina and even enhance male potency.
Okay.
And we see that potential influence on testosterone levels kind of popping up again here.
Yeah.
As for women, beyond that heightened sensitivity we talked about, there's a traditional belief that it can also increase blood flow to the clitoris.
Interesting. So yeah, there's a whole range of potential benefits there, especially on the sexual health front.
Definitely, yeah.
I was also really interested in the stuff I was reading about Bengala being used during pregnancy and also for infertility.
Oh, yeah, those are some fascinating traditional applications.
Yeah.
Research indicates a belief that Bengala can actually be beneficial for women in those final weeks of pregnancy,
Oh, wow.
potentially helping their bodies prepare for childbirth. And it's also been traditionally suggested as a potential option for women who are experiencing infertility.
Interesting.
But it is really important to remember that these are rooted in traditional understandings.
Right.
And while they're definitely interesting and potentially promising, more rigorous scientific research would be needed to confirm these benefits and understand how it all works.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Just because something's been used traditionally doesn't mean it's automatically scientifically proven.
Exactly.
But, it does raise all these really fascinating questions
Right,
about potential applications that deserve to be explored further.
for sure.
So how is Bengala actually used? Like, has that changed much over time? What did we find out in the research?
So traditionally, the main part of the Bengala plant that was used was the root.
Okay, the root.
And according to research, they would typically dry these roots and then grind them up into a powder.
Huh.
And then this powder would be steeped in hot water
Oh, okay.
to create a tea or an infusion,
A tea. Okay.
a traditional kind of herbal preparation.
Pretty straightforward, pretty simple.
Yeah.
And how's that evolved? I mean, in more modern times, how are people using it now?
Well, research indicates that nowadays you can find Bengala in a lot of more convenient forms, like capsules,
Mm-hmm.
tinctures,
Okay.
and extracts.
Interesting.
And these modern preparations provide people with easier ways to include it in their daily routine
Mm.
without having to go through that whole process of preparing the traditional tea.
Right.
It's definitely more convenient.
It seems like capsules are a pretty popular way to take it. At least that's what we found in the research.
Yeah.
What's the typical dosage? How are people generally using the capsules?
So research suggests that a common recommendation is to take between 2 to 5 capsules a day
Okay.
with water.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of sources advise taking them around 45 minutes before or after a meal.
Okay.
But of course, these are just general guidelines.
Right.
And it's always best to get personalized advice from a healthcare professional.
For sure. Which brings us to a really important part of this conversation. Safety, precautions, all that stuff.
Yeah.
What does the research say about potential side effects or things that people should watch out for?
Generally, research indicates that Bengala is considered safe for most people
Okay.
when it's used as directed.
Mm-hmm.
But just like with a lot of natural substances,
Right.
there are some potential side effects that some individuals might experience.
Okay. Like what?
Things like digestive discomfort,
Okay.
and some people might have allergic reactions.
Okay. So nothing too serious, it sounds like. But
Really?
yeah, things to be mindful of.
Definitely, yeah.
What about interactions with other medications? That's always a big one.
Oh, yeah, that's super important to consider.
Yeah.
Research does show that there's a possibility for interactions with certain medications.
Okay.
And that's why it's really crucial to talk to your doctor
Mm-hmm.
before you start using Bengala,
Yeah.
especially if you have any underlying health conditions or you're already taking prescription meds.
That makes a lot of sense. A responsible approach.
Definitely.
Being informed,
Yeah.
talking to your healthcare provider. That's like the baseline for any supplements or anything health related.
Exactly.
I also noticed in our research that there were some important disclaimers.
Right.
What were the key takeaways there?
Well, research highlights the fact that any claims about Bengala haven't been evaluated by the FDA.
Okay, the Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also important to understand that these products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases.
Right.
The information that we're discussing is purely for informational purposes
Mm-hmm.
and should not be considered a replacement for medical advice from a qualified healthcare provider.
Right. So the responsibility ultimately falls on the individual
Yeah.
to be well informed, make good decisions, and consult with the professionals. Right.
Exactly.
Now, in terms of actually finding Bengala, is it something that's easy to come by?
Well, research characterizes it as relatively rare and a bit challenging to get your hands on,
Mm-hmm.
but there are definitely sellers out there who specialize in importing and distributing it.
Okay, so if you know where to look, you can probably find it.
Right, yeah.
We also came across some interesting product names
Oh, yeah.
listed alongside Bengala,
Yeah.
like Umpesu
Mm-hmm.
and Congo dust,
Yeah.
and even formulations that were specifically labeled for women and STI treatment herbs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right?
What do we make of that?
It seems to me like Bengala is part of a much broader range of traditional African herbs
What?
that are being marketed for different aspects of wellness, especially sexual health and vitality.
Mm,
But without more specific information on those other products,
right.
it's really hard to comment on their specific uses or effectiveness.
Sure. Understood.
It's just really fascinating to see all these different remedies and how they're being used.
Yeah, it speaks to like a whole worlds of traditional medicine that we may not be fully aware of.
Right. Yeah.
Did our research shed any light on quality control, sourcing, those kinds of things?
Yeah, definitely. At least one source we looked at stressed their commitment to quality.
Okay.
And they said they have a pretty rigorous testing process for
Mm.
all their products, including Bengala.
Mm-hmm.
And they even mentioned a vetting period before they actually offer something for sale.
Interesting.
And they also highlighted the fact that they work with experienced herbalists in developing their products
Okay.
with the aim of ensuring both quality and effectiveness.
Right. It's good to hear.
Yeah, that focus on quality assurance is definitely a positive sign.
It is, yeah. It's reassuring to know that there are suppliers who are taking that seriously.
Definitely.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Bangala, what are some of the key things that stand out to you?
Well, for me, the biggest takeaways are Bengala's long and rich history of traditional use in Africa, particularly for supporting sexual health and overall vitality.
Mm-hmm.
And research suggests that there might be some real benefits there, like increased libido, improved sexual performance, potentially through enhanced blood flow,
Okay.
and general health support, likely because of its antioxidant and nutrient content.
Right.
And we also saw how its use has evolved over time, from traditional preparations to more modern and convenient forms like capsules.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a really fascinating journey exploring this herb.
It has. And just to reiterate the important reminder.
Oh, yeah, always. Always consult with your healthcare provider before using Bengala,
Mm-hmm.
especially because of those potential side effects and interactions with other medications.
Right.
And of course, always remember those disclaimers we talked about.
Yeah.
This information is not medical advice. It's just for informational purposes.
It's a starting point for a conversation with your healthcare provider.
Exactly.
So, thinking about this long history of traditional use, alongside its increasing availability today,
Mm-hmm.
it makes me wonder what further research
Yeah.
or even personal experiences, approached cautiously and with proper guidance, of course,
Right.
could help us understand Bangala even better.
That's a great question.
What are the potential benefits, the risks, how it all works?
For sure.
It just feels like we're at the beginning of really understanding this plant
Absolutely.
and its potential.
It's a really exciting area for future research.
It is, yeah, there's so much more to learn.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been great having you here.
Thanks for having me.
And to all of our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Keep those brains hungry for knowledge,
Yeah, keep learning.
and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
See ya.